Hey guys, Justin here. After going through a few seasons of making iRacing Arca race guides, these are my 5 tips that popped up the most often during intermediate tracks. Mastering these 5 concepts alone will take even beginners to an extremely competitive level. If this video gets 200 likes, I'll release a part 2 going over tips on short tracks in the Arca car. So let's get right to it. Number 1. Early out, early in. At intermediate ovals, the Arca car doesn't quite have the power that other oval cars have. Because of this, maintaining momentum in the corner is key for lap time, as that momentum benefits you for the entire straightaway afterwards. The easiest way to accomplish this is by getting to partial or full throttle as soon as possible in the corner. As long as your car is not bogged down in 4th gear prior to getting on the throttle, the momentum that you carry throughout the corner will always beat somebody who drove in the corner as deep as possible. If you use your relative, consider giving up half a tenth or so on entry and see how much you can pull it back just by throttling up earlier. Number 2, we have know your brake biases. At pretty much every single intermediate track Arca goes to, you want the brake bias just about as low as it can go. Not only does this help with lap times, but it helps with tire saving as well. But why? Well, a low brake bias will provide extra rotation under braking. In the Arca car, even at the minimum brake bias, this car never over-rotates under braking with the proper technique. And that proper technique is a brake drag at about 10 to 20%. That's more than enough to get your car pointed in a direction that you can take advantage of to get back on the throttle earlier. If that drag was done at a 70% brake bias even, your car would almost point straight under braking. When your car doesn't have enough angle to exit the corner, you have to use the steering wheel, and thus your right front tire, to make the exit, which pretty much means you're putting all the work and all the weight of the car into that right front tire. With rotation under braking with low brake bias though, all the tires do equal work, and because the Arca car at most intermediates is naturally wearing the right front, this more even tire wear is going to be super beneficial for you. For more information on this, refer to this video where I went more into depth about this. Number 3. Never coast. One of the biggest differences I see between beginner and advanced drivers in the Arca car is the amount of time they spend off both pedals. To run an optimal line not only requires fine-tuning of the positioning of your car, but also of your brake and throttle usage. If you find yourself coasting in the center of a corner for an extended period of time, think about what your pedals are accomplishing before and after that. The brake, like we said earlier, provides not only a way to slow down initially, but also a way to get rotation. And so if you find the amount of brake where you can drag it all the way to your throttle point, it's usually around 10%, then the extra angle that you get means that you have extra on throttle time, which will lead to straighter exits and also more momentum that you carry, and thus speed down the straightaway. If the corner requires heavier braking on entry, consider backing off entry just a little bit and then thus backing off the brake. And then try to get your off brake and on throttle time to line up by dragging your brake for a longer distance, but also picking up the throttle earlier. Number 4. Keep the car on the right rear tire. This is the most important tip for saving tires in the Arca car on intermediates. You want to be able to drive the car off the right rear tire for the entire corner after entry. This is one of the concepts that's the most difficult to explain, and you can see a bit more in-depth explanation on the video linked here in the description. But the TLDR of this technique is you want to be able to get on the throttle early in the corner and have the car get loose as a result. How is this accomplished? Well, it's fairly track dependent, but in general, if you can get the car to the bottom early and then abruptly put the partial throttle into it so that the rear tires begin to kick out slightly, then by that point, you can hold the throttle and drive the car loose for the rest of the corner until you can push it to full throttle once you have a straight line on exit. This is helpful because the Arca car naturally burns right front tire, as we said before. So by doing this technique, we can still push for speed, but not lean the car on the right front and cause uneven tire wear. One thing to note about tire wear is that it's not always just about how high the numbers are at the end of the race, it's about how close you can get the right front and the right rear. So if you end the race at 80-88, compared to somebody who ends at 78-78, That probably means that the person who ended on 78 was able to use their tires in a more effective way and probably pushed throughout the race in a way where that the person who had a larger gap in tire wear wasn't able to get. Driving the car off the right rear is truly an advanced driving technique that not many are able to master, but it is definitely the next step if you're trying to find more race pace. Number 5. Know your tire temperatures. The Arca car will behave vastly different to normal depending on the tire temperature. For example, at the start of the race your tires will be a lot colder than you're used to, unless you specifically practice this scenario of turn 1 off of a restart in your own testing. Cold tires will cause you to lose grip and slide or spin in the first couple of corners. If you don't have time to practice this situation, purposefully underdriving the first corner of the race is probably the best play. Another good thing to keep track of over the race is how hot your tires are at the given moment. If you find yourself one corner accidentally sliding the tires, prepare for the next corner to have much less grip than you are expecting. This is because the slide causes a drastic increase in tire temperature, which directly affects the grip regardless of what your tire wear is at. Another thing that we found to do this is sometimes when you scrape the wall. If you scrape the wall in Arca, it can suck you in. We like to call it the magnet wall. It's pretty harmless, I guess, but at some tracks you will hear a tire screech when you get stuck on the wall. The result is that your right side tires become extremely hot, and you need to approach the next lap or two with extreme caution because it's incredibly easy to spin out in this scenario with these tire temperatures. But a good general rule of thumb is that if you mess up a corner in any way, just back it down for the next set of corners or two before getting back into it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you have anything you want to add or any additional questions, feel free to leave it in the comments or join the Discord linked below. Alright, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.